Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So now today we are going to go ahead and talk about Friedman's restatement of quantity theory of money. देखो, when we talk about the theories of value of money, it can be divided in multiple parts. उसके बहुत सारे parts हैं. The first one is quantity theory of money, in which we talk about the transactional approach, and then we talk about the cash balance approach. Within the cash balance approach, we go ahead and we talk about Marshall, Pigou, and Robertson. Okay. Then we go ahead and we talk about the Keynesian theory of money. After that, we go ahead and we talk about post-Keynesian theory, in which there are two models that we have studied, Baumol and Tobin model. Okay. Now today, I am starting with this part, beta. In this lecture, I am going to focus on this part. And this part of the lecture is basically Friedman's theory of money or his restatement about the quantity theory of money. तो हम देखेंगे अब कि फ्रीडमैन के अकॉर्डिंग क्वांटिटी थ्योरी ऑफ मनी क्या था, व्हाट वाज क्वांटिटी थ्योरी ऑफ मनी अकॉर्डिंग टू फ्रीडमैन, एंड वी विल आल्सो गो अहेड एंड सी व्हाट ऑल फैक्टर्स ही इंक्लूडेड इन मनी. क्या क्या उन्होंने मनी में इंक्लूड किया. वी विल गो अहेड एंड ट्राई टू सी दैट. Okay, now let's start. So in 1956, Friedman restated the quantity theory of money. तो 1956 में फ्रीडमैन ने क्वांटिटी थ्योरी ऑफ मनी को अपनी एनालिसिस के अकॉर्डिंग केन्स से थोड़ा हटकर he thought differently from Keynes and he restated the quantity theory of money in his own terms, right? He said quantity theory of money is misunderstood by Keynes. तो Keynes ने क्या किया था बेटा? Keynes had gone ahead and he had said that, okay, when we have MV is equal to PT, I will write it as MV is equal to PY, and I can write this as M as some proportion of PY. So we were always talking about the demand of money dependent on the amount of nominal income of the economy. ठीक है. But उन्होंने बोला कि no, the way that Keynes has defined the quantity of money, that is wrong, that is incorrect. Keynes के जिस तरीके से Keynes ने अपना डिमांड ऑफ मनी को बताया है वो गलत है, वो सही से अंडरस्टूड नहीं किया गया है. And he went ahead and he said that money affects price and economic activity. So according to Keynes, money was not affecting price and economic activity, right? According to Keynes, especially when Keynes talked about the liquidity trap, according to Keynes, after certain interest rate, below certain interest rate, you have no demand for your bonds. You have no demand to go ahead and invest anywhere, which is known as liquidity trap. इस पूरी के बारे में we have already talked about it, right? I don't want to focus on that aspect. What I want to focus on today is that whatever theory Keynes has given, जो भी theory Keynes ने दी थी money के लिए, he said that theory is not correctly understood. वो सही से नहीं समझी गई है. So he said that money affects prices and economic activities. उनके अकॉर्डिंग अभी हम अच्छे से डिटेल में देखेंगे व्हाट इज डिमांड ऑफ मनी, व्हाट इज इट अ फंक्शन ऑफ. तो अकॉर्डिंग टू हिम बेटा, जो हमारा मनी था, it is going ahead and it is impacting the price and the amount of economic activity in the economy. So according to Keynes, money itself doesn't give any return. When money is invested in bond, only then return is achieved. तो केन्स ने क्या बोला था? केन्स ने बोला था कि देखो मनी का कोई रिटर्न नहीं है. द रिटर्न ऑन मनी इज जीरो, राइट? बट इफ यू विल इन्वेस्ट दिस, सो अकॉर्डिंग टू केन्स द ओनली रोल ऑफ मनी वाज ट्रांजैक्शनल. मनी को हमें सिर्फ ट्रांजैक्शन करने के लिए ही यूज करना है. But if you want to earn return from money, then if you want to do a speculative demand, right? If you want to earn some return from money, then you have to go ahead and invest that money somewhere, maybe in the bonds market. तो अकॉर्डिंग टू केन्स मनी इटसेल्फ वाज नॉट गिविंग एनी रिटर्न, मनी अपने आप में कोई रिटर्न नहीं दे रहा था, बट व्हेन दिस मनी इज इन्वेस्टेड समवेयर in the say bonds market, then it will go ahead and it will fetch you return. सिर्फ तब आपको return मिलेगा. Friedman allowed return on money to vary and increase above zero. अब फ्रीडमैन ने बोला कि we don't have to go till the bonds market. Money itself will give you return. तो फ्रीडमैन allowed return on money to vary. फ्रीडमैन ने बताया कि मनी रिटर्न ऑन मनी कैन बी मोर देन जीरो. सो केन्स सजेस्टेड दैट रिटर्न, बेटा simultaneously we will do differentiation also. Keynes suggested return on money is zero. Keynes ने बोला मनी पे जो रिटर्न है वो जीरो रहेगा. Friedman suggested that no, return on money can be above zero. So Keynes assumption is called as a more realistic assumption. Keynes का जो assumption है, Keynes ने जो समझाया, it is assumed to be more realistic in nature. ये बात समझ में आ रही है? So try to understand this thing. Friedman allowed return on money to vary. Friedman ने बोला money return के the return on money can be above zero and increase above zero, making it more realistic than the Keynes assumption of zero return. ठीक है बेटा. Now try to see. According to Friedman, cash is not the only asset. It consists of other assets like equity, bond, share, etc. Again, अभी हम इसके बारे में quickly एक equation पढ़ेंगे. तो Friedman suggested that look, you know, till now जो भी हमारा cash balance approach था या whatever approaches we have studied till now we thought that, you know, we can only demand cash. हम हमेशा सिर्फ डिमांड ऑफ मनी इक्विवेलेंट टू डिमांड ऑफ कैश समझते थे. We used to always consider that if a person is demanding money, it means that that person is demanding cash. But that is not the case. The demand of money is a function of multiple things. Money का demand बहुत सारी चीजों पे depend करता है. It depends on equity, it depends on bond, it depends on share, etc. अच्छा, another important thing. Till now, it was always thought that quantity theory of money basically is money supply side theory. Quantity theory of money हमेशा money की supply side theory को explain करता है. But Friedman came and said that quantity theory of money is money demand side story. ये money का supply side story नहीं है. This is demand side of the story. ये money का demand को समझा रहा है. Right? It is explaining the demand for money. Clear? ठीक है बेटा. Now try to see. Friedman tried to distinguish between two type of money. तो transactional money तो पहले भी था. The money that I used for cash, the money in the form of cash, the money that serves as medium of exchange. It is the same old as what we were using earlier. This part was there earlier also. इसको हम पहले भी पढ़ते थे. Transactional demand for money. But Friedman came with another form of money which was called as asset or capital good money. क्या बोला गया उसको? It was called as asset or capital good money, which was the part of wealth theory of money. उसे बोला गया that it will be part of wealth theory. So now try to understand this thing. According to Friedman, there were two distributions of money. The first distribution of money or the first component of the demand of money was the transactional component, money used for transactions. But there was another component of the demand of money which was called as the asset or capital good. So money as asset or capital good. समझे बात को? तो according to Friedman, he distinguished between two types of money. The first money is the transactional purpose money, money which is used as medium of exchange, जिसको हम medium of exchange की तरह use कर रहे हैं. And the second is basically money used for asset, which becomes as a part of wealth theory. ठीक है? Okay. अब देखो, there are three main parts to the demand of money. सबसे पहले उन्होंने बोला that demand of money is basically dependent on your total wealth. It is dependent on your total wealth. Now he started thinking himself only that it may be possible that you may not be able to calculate wealth. कभी कभी ऐसा हो सकता है कि हम wealth को calculate ना कर पाए. So if we are not able to calculate wealth, then we will use income as a surrogate of wealth. माने I will be using income to calculate my wealth. I will use income as a substitute to calculate my wealth. He also said that the wealth is basically divided in two parts, human and non-human wealth. Human wealth basically is the wealth which is the skill-oriented wealth. But a skill-oriented wealth is that wealth which you accumulate because of your skill. Just for example, when I am teaching you and I am earning money, that is my skill wealth. Right? When I am going ahead and I am doing a job somewhere and I am earning money, that is my skill wealth. Right? But if I buy a house and I get rent on it, then it is my non-human wealth. Because I am not putting any skill. मैं उसमें अपना कोई भी skill नहीं लगा रही हूँ. That becomes part of my non-human wealth. So according to Friedman, there are two kinds of wealth, human wealth and non-human wealth. Human wealth is productive capacity of the human being. जो भी काम human being कर रहे हैं, whatever work human being are doing, that is human wealth. Non-human wealth is the capital, machinery, etc. The return you are getting from house, your rent, right? Your machines that you have, that is your non-human wealth. Then he went ahead and he said that it also depends on expected rate of return. What is the return I am getting from share, equity, bond, etc. इस पे भी depend करेगा what will be my demand of money. So first, it will depend on my total wealth. Total wealth has two parts to it, human wealth and non-human wealth. इस पे depend करेगा मेरा demand of money. Secondly, it will depend on my expected rate of return. What is the return I am getting from share, equity, bonds? इस पे depend करेगा demand of money. And third, it will depend on taste and preference of the asset holder. Whether I want to take more risk or less risk, whether I want to hold more money or less money, everyone has different taste and preferences. So according to Friedman, there are three main reasons or three main factors that affect the demand of money, the total amount of wealth, then the expected rate of return, and then the taste and preferences. Clear? ठीक है, आगे देखो. So based on that, he came up with 5 forms of money. बेटा वो तो हो गए what does money demand depend on. So money demand depends on 3 main things. ठीक है. Now we are saying what are the forms of money. Money को हम कैसे कैसे रख सकते हैं. So there are 5 main forms of money that he suggested. The first is money itself. That means the cash form of money. Currency, demand deposit, time deposit, etc. So when you keep money itself, तो वो हो गया आपका first form of money. The second form of money is bond, which he called as fixed income securities. So he said that bond fetch you fixed income. अगर मैं पैसा bond में लगाती हूँ, तो it will fetch me some fixed return, right? So bonds he called them as fixed income securities. Then the third one that we have, that is equities. Equity is capital invested by the owner of the firm. So if I put my money in some business, that is called as an equity. The fourth is physical or non-human goods, like the money invested in machinery, in your producer inventories, in your durable goods. That is basically physical or non-human goods. And the fifth one is human capital, which is basically the capacity of the human. So if I put money on my skill, on my education, right, then that is human capital. So he said that there can be 5 forms of your wealth. The first form of your wealth can be in the form of money that you keep. सेकेंड, आप वेल्थ अर्न कर सकते हो, फिक्स्ड वेल्थ अर्न करोगे अगर पैसा बॉन्ड्स में डाल दो। द थर्ड पार्ट ऑफ योर वेल्थ कंसिस्ट ऑफ द इक्विटीज, योर शेयर, अगर आपने किसी बिजनेस में इन्वेस्ट किया हुआ है, वहां पे आपका जो जो आपका वहां पे शेयर है उस बिजनेस के अंदर, योर इक्विटीज। The fourth part consists of the physical assets that you have. It can be the asset in terms of fridge, TV, machine, durable goods, etc. And the fifth part of your wealth is the is the human capital, which is the skills that you possess, the education that you possess. These are the 5 forms of wealth. ये बात समझ में है? Clear? तो ध्यान से एक बारी let's just revise this part बेटा। दो चीजें अभी तक हमने पढ़ी हैं। First, we have studied that the money demand is dependent on 3 main things. It is dependent on wealth, it is dependent on expected returns, and it is dependent on taste and preferences. I will just write an equation for this also. अभी इसका equation भी लिखेंगे. But as of now, we have studied that the demand of money, it depends on 3 things. It depends on wealth, it depends on expected returns, and it depends on taste and preferences. उसके बाद हमने ये पढ़ा that wealth can go ahead and it can take 5 forms. Wealth can take the form of money. Wealth can go ahead and take the form of money. Wealth can go ahead and take the form of equity. Wealth can take the form of physical assets. Wealth can take the form of human assets. Right? So these are the forms of wealth and bonds. So these are the 5 forms of wealth. Wealth क्या-क्या form ले सकती है? That is what we studied. This is clear? Okay. Now let us try to go ahead and let us try to represent this in the form of an equation. Okay. So the first equation that Friedman suggested, that is basically your W is equal to Y by R. W is the current value of your wealth. Whatever wealth you have, हम उसका value निकाल रहे हैं. And this wealth basically is equal to Y divided by R. What is Y? Y is the total flow of expected income from all 5 forms of wealth. तो हमने ये जो पैसा यहाँ पे लगाया, हमने मनी में लगाया पैसा, हमने बॉन्ड्स में पैसा लगाया, हमने इक्विटी में पैसा लगाया, फिक्स्ड कैपिटल में लगाया और ह्यूमन में लगाया, राइट? दीज आर अवर वेल्थ. फ्रॉम दिस वेल्थ आई विल अर्न सम रिटर्न. रिमेंबर, whatever, so suppose you have some wealth. When you put your money in different forms, that gives you return. And this return adds to your wealth. It gets accumulated to your wealth. It increases your wealth. This is how it works. Suppose you have 1 lakh rupees. You put this 1 lakh rupee in bank at the rate of 10%. So after 1 year, your wealth will be 1 lakh plus 10,000 earned. 1 lakh 10,000 will be your wealth. है ना? So this is exactly what we are going ahead and we are saying. We are going ahead and we are saying that basically what happens is Y is the total flow of expected income from all 5 forms of wealth. जो भी हमारा expected return आया है, जो भी flow of income हुआ है, whatever flow of income has come from all these 5 forms, that is represented by Y. R is the interest rate. Right? And Y by R gives us our current value of the wealth. It will give us how much current wealth we own. Okay. The second equation he gave, that is called as demand function of individual. तो ये तो उन्होंने बताया कि how can we calculate wealth. Now then he said, how will we calculate how much money will an individual demand? कितना पैसा एक individual demand कर रहा है? What is the demand of money by an individual? Remember, beta, this is M by P. So M by P means real demand of money. So according to Friedman, the real demand of money basically is dependent on all these factors. वो इन सारे factors पर dependent है. The first factor is Y, where Y is your real income. So demand for money depends on your real income. The second factor is W. W is your wealth. Wealth consists of human and non-human wealth, both. अभी हमने देखा forms of wealth. The third is your return on money. How much return money is giving me? Remember, Friedman के बारे में I just told you, he believed that money also can give you some return. क्योंकि in the definition of money, he has included time deposits. And time deposits are liquid form. You can convert them back into cash, but they will give you some return till the point you keep them in the bank. जब तक वो पैसा बैंक में है, उस पे you can earn return like fixed deposits. I can earn some return on FD, but I can also break the FD and get it in form of money, right? So basically, indirectly, he is saying that money is giving you some return. Keynes ने बोला था money gives zero return. Money in itself does not give any return. But he suggested that money can give return. समझे बात? Okay. The second is return on bonds, return on equity. ठीक है? Then this is GP beta. GP is the inflation, right? But it also here stands for the change in the price of the physical asset. So imagine something. I purchased a house for $1 lakh. Now today this house is worth $1,50,000. So due to inflation in the economy, the price of my asset is also inflating now. So my wealth is indirectly increasing. So basically GP stands for the change in price of goods, but also because of that change in the price of asset and hence the return on the asset. Okay. Then you have U. U stands for all other factors like taste and preferences of that individual. I hope this equation is clear to you, beta. Let me just revisit this equation quickly once. So according to Friedman, the demand of money is a function of real income of the individual, the wealth of the individual, the return on money, bond, and equity, the change in the price of the physical asset, and the taste and preferences. These are the different factors that go ahead and affect the demand of money. Okay. Acha, another thing he mentioned. He said that according to him, तो अभी तक क्या था that all quantity theory of money, they were going ahead and basically they were talking about your supply of money, है ना? They were going ahead and they were talking about the supply of money. But according to him, according to Friedman, he said that supply of money is basically exogenous. It is determined outside the model and it depends on monetary authorities, right? So supply of money is not under the control of people, not under the control of us as general public. Demand of money is, but supply of money is not under our control. So supply of money is assumed to be exogenous, determined by the monetary authorities. And because of that, he called supply of money unstable. उन्होंने बोला सप्लाई ऑफ मनी अनस्टेबल है क्योंकि वो मॉनेटरी अथॉरिटीज के हाथ में है. एंड ही सेड दैट बेसिकली सप्लाई ऑफ मनी एंड डिमांड ऑफ मनी आर इंडिपेंडेंट ऑफ ईच अदर. उनमें कुछ भी कॉमन नहीं है. दे आर इंडिपेंडेंट फैक्टर्स, दे आर इंडिपेंडेंट ऑफ ईच अदर. सप्लाई ऑफ मनी इज एक्सोजेनस, उसको हम मॉडल के अंदर डिटरमाइन नहीं कर रहे हैं. दैट इज बेसिकली डिपेंडेंट ऑन द अथॉरिटीज डिसीजन. And demand of money, वो जो हमने पूरा पढ़ा, it is the function of all these variables, Y, R, W, RM, RB, RE, GP, and U. So demand of money is a function of all these variables. Demand of money is assumed to be stable. Stable माने इसको हम मॉडल के अंदर ही डिटरमाइन करते हैं. So it is assumed to be stable and endogenous. determined within the model. तो ये endogenous है, it is determined within the model. Clear? अच्छा, one more thing. He said that although supply of money is determined by authorities, but जब supply of money change होगी, it will go ahead and it will impact the income of people. Right? And when income of people will change, then demand of money will change. ठीक है, so just try to see this through a diagram बेटा. So this is a diagram that we are using. देखो ध्यान से, this is supply of money initially. ये vertical है, it is completely exogenous, determined outside the model, perfectly inelastic. This is the demand of money. The demand and supply of money are meeting at this point, and this is determining the equilibrium income in the economy. Right? Here I have taken Y and here I have taken M. Now he said that suppose there is an increase in the supply of money. Suppose money supply बढ़ती है. So when supply of money increases, the money supply curve will shift outwards to the right, and the new equilibrium will be reached with higher level of Y. And there will be therefore movement along the demand curve. Right? So when the supply of money will increase, it will go ahead and it will increase Y in the economy. Remember, beta, Y is real income. And real income is nothing but also the output of economy. So when the supply of money increases, it is increasing the output of the economy. Economy ka output बढ़ा. Is that clear? Okay. Now there are some criticisms to this model. What are the criticisms? The first criticism is that people say that he has defined money very broadly. He has included everything in the definition of money. Chahe stock ho, equity ho, kuch bhi ho. He has ended up including everything in the definition of money, which is not correct. The second thing is, he says that the people say that wealth has been given too much importance. आज के टाइम में भी जब हम डिमांड ऑफ मनी का इक्वेशन पढ़ते हैं, वी से m by p is equal to ky minus hi. So we always study demand of money as a function of income. We don't give too much importance to wealth. But it is said that Friedman went ahead and he gave too much importance to wealth. Right? Then money supply is not exogenous. So Friedman assumed that the supply of money is exogenous. It is not affected by any factor, but which is incorrect. Which is incorrect. Actually speaking, supply of money may depend on many factors in the economy. It may depend on interest rate, it may depend on some other things. So assuming that supply of money is exogenous may not be correct. Right? Supply of money may depend on the GDP of the economy. It may depend on the output in the economy. Right? So assuming supply of money to be exogenous may not be correct. Then we say that he does not consider the time factor and transactional cost factor. So time and transactional cost factor is what, beta? Suppose you have invested your money in the share market. And now from the share market, you want to go ahead towards the bond market. So what will you do? Maybe bonds are giving you more returns than equity. What will you do? You will take your money out from here and invest your money here. But in this process, you will put some time. But he hasn't considered about this time factor. Is time factor ko consider nahi kiya gaya. Similarly, when you will do this, that you will sell your shares and then you will take that money out and you will invest it in the bonds, it may involve some transactional cost, right? But this transactional cost has also been skipped. So this is another criticism of this model, right? So these are some of the criticism of the model कि हमने money को बहुत broadly define किया है. हमारा जो wealth है उसको बहुत ज़्यादा importance दे दिया हमने. वेल्थ की जो सप्लाई है वो एक्सोजिनस है, वी आर नॉट कंसिडरिंग द टाइम फैक्टर एंड वी आर इग्नोरिंग द ट्रांजैक्शन कॉस्ट ऑफ शिफ्टिंग वेल्थ। क्लियर? ठीक है बेटा। नाउ एक one last thing I want to just highlight as part of, so this is not very important but you just try to understand this thing also. देखो अभी तक whenever we were doing quantity theory of money we were always assuming k to be constant. जैसे हमने यहां लिखा था that m is equal to kpy, so k was what? K was 1 by v and velocity of money was assumed to be constant. So since velocity of money was constant, so k was also coming out to be constant. So we were saying money is a constant function of the value of the output. Money is a constant function, fixed function, right? It's constant proportion to the value of the output. मतलब जितना value होगा उसका एक fixed proportion money का demand हो जाएगा. But now, according to Friedman's model, this k is no more constant. ये जो k है, ये जो 1 by velocity है, this is no more constant. Rather, this k is a function of return on bonds, return on equity, the price you get from your physical assets, and so on and so forth. Money, how much time money will circulate in the economy is dependent on what return bond is giving you. जैसे मैंने अभी example दिया that if suppose एकदम से immediately bond starts giving me more return, I will take my money out from share and put my money in the bond market. So in that process, I will hold money, I will take it out from somewhere, put it somewhere else. So there will be some transaction that will take place. There will be, the money will be changing hands. So it will affect the velocity. And therefore 1 by velocity will also be affected and k will also be affected. K is nothing but 1 by velocity. So k is no more constant according to Friedman's model. K is actually a function of return on bond, return on equity, and your price of the physical assets. Is that clear? So this is the entire Friedman model. एक बारी बेटा, let me just quickly revise it for you. एकदम आसान भाषा में I will just revise it for you. एकदम easy language में, ठीक है? तो फ्रीडमैन ने अब पहले let me revise it in Hindi first, then I will revise it for you in English also. तो बेटा फ्रीडमैन ने बड़े आसान तरीके से ये बोला कि जो भी क्वांटिटी थ्योरी ऑफ मनी है जो आज तक केन्स ने दी थी वो क्वांटिटी थ्योरी ऑफ मनी ठीक नहीं है, हमें इस क्वांटिटी थ्योरी को गलत समझाया गया है और हमें ठीक से समझना पड़ेगा। उन्होंने बोला कि देखो जो हमारा मनी है वो प्राइस और इकोनॉमिक एक्टिविटी से अफेक्ट होता है और इस बात को हमने आज तक कभी समझा ही नहीं था। फिर उन्होंने इस बात पे थोड़ा गौर फरमाया कि देखो हमें ये देखना पड़ेगा कि जो मनी पे रिटर्न है वो जीरो नहीं है, मनी अपने आप में भी कुछ रिटर्न हमें देता है और केन्स ने गलत बोला है कि मनी का रिटर्न जीरो होगा। उसके बाद उन्होंने बोला कि देखो मनी को हम मेजरली दो तरीकों में डाल सकते हैं, एक ट्रांजैक्शनल पर्पस में, एक एसेट पर्पस में। ट्रांजैक्शन माने जो रोज का आप करते हो, एक जगह से कुछ खरीद रहे हो, सब्जी रोटी दाल आटा कुछ भी खरीद रहे हो, और दूसरा हो गया आपका कैपिटल या एसेट पर्पस, जो आपका दूसरा रीजन हो गया कि आप मनी को क्यों डिमांड करोगे। उसके बाद उन्होंने बोला कि पूरी डिमांड ऑफ मनी को हम तीन हिस्सों में बांट सकते हैं। पहला हम वेल्थ फॉर्म में बांट सकते हैं जिसमें हम ह्यूमन और नॉन ह्यूमन वेल्थ की बात करते हैं। ह्यूमन वेल्थ वो वेल्थ हो गई जो कि हम आपका स्किल एंड ऑल में रखते हैं, अपनी एजुकेशन के फॉर्म में रखते हैं, और नॉन ह्यूमन वेल्थ माने मैंने घर बनाया, मशीन बनाई, एक्सेट्रा। फिर उन्होंने बोला कि दूसरी चीज जो हमें यहाँ पे ध्यान देनी है वो रिटर्न है कि मनी में शेयर इक्विटी बॉन्ड्स में हमें कितना रिटर्न आ रहा है, और तीसरा फैक्टर हमारा टेस्ट एंड प्रेफरेंस हो जाता है कि मैं कितना ज्यादा रिस्क लेना चाहती हूँ, बॉन्ड में पैसा लगाना चाहती हूँ या नहीं लगाना चाहती हूँ, शेयर में पैसा लगाना चाहती हूँ या नहीं। ये हमारा तीसरा रीजन हो गया। फिर फाइनली हमने 5 फॉर्म पढ़े मनी के, वेल्थ के फॉर्म्स ऑफ वेल्थ में पहला फॉर्म आया हमारा मनी। मनी अपने आप में एक वेल्थ का फॉर्म है जिसमें आपने करेंसी बॉन्ड इन सब, करेंसी डिमांड डिपॉजिट इन सब में पैसा रखा। दूसरा आया आपका बॉन्ड। बॉन्ड को फ्रीडमैन ने बोला कि बॉन्ड्स एक फिक्स्ड रिटर्न देंगे हमेशा आपको। फिर उन्होंने तीसरी बात की इक्विटी की। फिर चौथा उन्होंने बोला कि आप अपने किसी भी एसेट में पैसा रख लो, जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल मशीन या कोई भी कैपिटल गुड, घर खरीद लो, जमीन खरीद लो, और पांचवा, अगर आप कोई एजुकेशन भी ले रहे हो, कोई स्किल भी सीख रहे हो, तो वो भी आपकी एक फॉर्म ऑफ वेल्थ ही कहलाएगी, उसको भी हम वेल्थ बोलेंगे आपकी। फिर उन्होंने बोला कि इस पूरी इक्वेशन को, हम वेल्थ की इक्वेशन को W इज इक्वल टू वाई बाय आर बोल सकते हैं, जहां पे हमारा जो y रहेगा वो रहेगा कि इन पांचों फॉर्म ऑफ वेल्थ से आपको कितना कितना रिटर्न मिल रहा है, और r रहेगा द रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट। उसके बाद उन्होंने ये डिमांड ऑफ मनी का इक्वेशन दिया, जिसमें उन्होंने बोला कि डिमांड ऑफ मनी बेसिकली किस किस चीज पे डिपेंड करेगी, आपकी रियल इनकम पे, आपकी वेल्थ पे, रिटर्न ऑन मनी पे, रिटर्न ऑन बॉन्ड्स पे, रिटर्न ऑन इक्विटी पे, और आपका फिजिकल एसेट का प्राइस कैसे कैसे चेंज हो रहा है उस पे, और टेस्ट एंड प्रेफरेंस पे। फाइनली बेटा इसके बाद हमने इसमें क्या देखा, हमने डिमांड ऑफ मनी को सप्लाई ऑफ मनी से कॉन्ट्राडिक्ट किया। हमने बोला डिमांड ऑफ मनी मॉडल के अंदर ही पता चलती है, और सप्लाई ऑफ मनी मॉनेटरी अथॉरिटीज डिटरमाइन करती है। इसलिए फ्रीडमैन ने सप्लाई ऑफ मनी को अनस्टेबल और डिमांड ऑफ मनी को स्टेबल बोला है। उसके बाद हमने एक डायग्राम बनाया जिसमें हमने बताया कि जब सप्लाई ऑफ मनी बढ़ती है तो पूरी इकोनॉमी का आउटपुट बढ़ रहा है, इकोनॉमी में जो वाई का वैल्यू है वो इंक्रीज हो रहा है। एट लास्ट बेटा हमने ये सारे क्रिटिसिज्म पढ़े जो हमारे फ्रीडमैन मॉडल के आज के क्रिटिसिज्म्स थे। आई होप दिस मॉडल इज एब्सोल्युटली क्लियर टू everyone and there is no doubt in this model. One last time, I am revising all of this for everyone, but I am going to revise this in English now. So quickly, let me just revise this for you. Whichever language is comfortable, बस इसको अपने दिमाग में feed it in your mind somehow. ठीक है? Okay. So beta Friedman gave this theory in 1956. He said whatever Keynes was telling you about quantity theory is absolutely incorrect. You should not follow that. Rather, he went ahead and he said कि money is giving you some return. Don't think that money has zero return. Money also goes ahead and gives you some positive return. ठीक है. Then the next thing we studied is that he said that you can go ahead and keep money in two forms. The first form is transactional form, which is similar to what Keynes had suggested, but also you can go ahead and you can keep money in the form of asset or capital goods. Then we studied that the demand of money is for three purposes. The first is, it is dependent on three things. The first is total wealth. Demand of money depends on the wealth of the individual. We studied that there are two kinds of wealth. One is called human wealth, one is non-human wealth. Human wealth is the wealth you acquire through skills. Non-human wealth is capital, machinery, etc. Then we studied about the rate of return. Your demand of money depends on the return that bonds, share, equity market give you. And third, demand of money depends on taste and preferences of the asset holder. Then we studied the 5 forms of wealth. The first is money itself. Second is bond. Third is equity. Fourth is physical or non-human goods. And fifth is your human goods. These 5 were the form of wealth that we studied. At last, we went ahead and we did two equations. The first equation said that W is equal to Y by R. So W is the value of the wealth. Y is the expected return from these 5 forms of wealth. And R is the interest rate. Then we studied the demand function equation. It is a function of real income, wealth, return from money, return from bond, return from equity, the change in price of physical assets, and taste and preferences. At last, we studied that supply is exogenous and hence unstable. Demand is endogenous and hence stable. We did this diagram which showed that as the supply of money increases, there would be an increase in the value of Y in the economy. And finally, we did some of the criticisms of the Friedman model. I hope this is absolutely clear to you and it has sunk down in your mind. Okay, beta. Thank you.